And we're around the D with Billy T. Our special guest today, Dr. Eddie Connor Jr. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on,
How you doing? Good to see you
Wonderful,
again.
man. Likewise.
I first met this guy at an event we were at. He was the keynote speaker, and he just killed the place. So I had to, you got to come down to my podcast. So that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic kicked in.
Right.
And now we're back, and he is back with a new book. But first, let's just give him a little bit of history of who Dr. Eddie Connor is. You're a college professor, a radio and TV correspondent. I didn't know that. And you taught high school here in Detroit?
Yeah, absolutely. Taught high school here in the city. Health, physical education, civics, history, all of that.
A little bit of everything. And like I said, inspirational speaker, would you say inspirational or motivational speaker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you're very good at that. Okay, I saw that firsthand. But also a best-selling author, 13 books. This is book number 13 we're looking
13,
at here.
right before your eyes.
Okay. What's this book all about? Dear Queen?
Dear Queen, Volume 2, How to Wear Your Crown, Walk in Authority and Authenticity.
Walk with authority.
Yeah.
You got to teach them that.
Absolutely.
That's what this book teaches these women out here.
That's it.
Pick your crown up, girl.
That's
Straighten
right.
up your crown.
Straighten up your crown, wipe your frown. Absolutely.
So tell us about the book, man.
Yeah, the genesis of the journey of Dear Queen, I used to write love letters to girls in high school.
That'll do it.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
And I'd write the letter anonymously, slip it into the locker, find out the girl would check it out.
Do you like me? Yes or no?
Right. All of that. And some of the guys found out I was writing love letters. They're like, hey, yo, I got a shorty over here. Why don't you write a love letter for her? Keep your name off it, though.
Right. I'll put my name on it.
I'll break you off some lunch money. And so some years later, coming out of high school, college, all that, just being a man on a mission, I said, hey, if I can write letters to girls of love, why can't I write a book of love to women? To love yourself, to know your worth. That was the first one on Dear Queen.
Okay.
And years later, that came out in 2017.
Was that your first book?
That was my 7th book.
What was the first book you wrote?
First book I ever wrote. I'm literally with $1 and a dream in my name in a dorm room. I wrote my story of overcoming cancer.
And what was that?
Called Finding the Can in Cancer, Purposefully Prepared to Persevere.
That persevere.
Yeah.
Persevere. Yeah.
And, I detailed my journey of really how I found the can in cancer, going through the chemotherapy, radiation, my father not being in my life, dealing with depression and dismay and mental discombobulation, wanting to give up, and just having that faith in God. And, of course, a praying mama, I was able to make it.
How old were you when you went through cancer?
I was 15.
15 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was a long process.
Yeah, it was about a 2-year ordeal. Out of school my sophomore year in high school, and just didn't think I was going to make it. Really wanted to give up. It was my mother's perseverance and prayers saying, hey, you know what? You're not going to live. You're not going to die. You're going to live through dying places.
Okay. And you're still here today, doing your thing. 13 books later.
13 books later.
12 books later.
Right. And I never wanted to be a writer at all. I never
really?
I never
What
wanted to
did
write
you
my
want to
story.
be when you were young?
Oh, man,
what did you even think about?
Hoop dreams,
Oh, okay.
hoop
Okay.
dreams, and being an architect or an astronaut, something like that. Yeah. But
what got you into motivational speaking? How did that come about?
that came with me sharing my story. The American Cancer Society. There was a particular lady, shout out to Von Seal Brown Miller. She used to work with the American Cancer Society, and she heard about my story and, provided an opportunity for me to speak. So I did that, and then I, grew up in the church, did one of my first messages in Jamaica, sharing from a message that I remember speaking and preaching, destined to overcome the odds. And that really just became like my life's journey and work. And so being able to do the spiritual as well as the secular, kind of bridging the gap with that, and I just took off from there. Continue to hone my craft and my skill.
I saw something that you had done, and even through watching you do your thing at the event, I saw you at and our interview before, and I was thinking, I said, you could be a preacher. Are you part preacher?
Definitely.
When you get inspirational like that?
Oh, without a doubt. It's a good mix that I have because I do the ministry. I was just preaching to church just the other week.
So you do preach once in a while?
Yeah, all the time, yeah.
Okay. When you preaching again, I'm coming.
I gotta preach next month at a good friend of mine's church. It's called King David Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay.
So I'll give you the insight. I'll give you the scoop on it.
All right. Man, because you're a great speaker and I'm sure a great writer. The message to women in Dear Queen, Volume 2. Give us the synopsis.
You know, Malcolm X said the most neglected, unprotected, and disrespected woman on the planet is the black woman. And oftentimes as brothers, when we stand on the sidelines, our sisters stand on the front lines. You know, you could talk about Claudette Colvin, you could talk about Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King, or Coretta Scott Queen, if you will. You know, you can go all the way down the line to modern day women who still, you know, are balancing a job and a dream and raising children, things of that nature. I think about my mother, the preeminent queen in my life. And, you know, seeing our sisters and letting them know, despite all of the vitriolic negative words that are said to them, you know, social media and down the line, even in the world, that there's still a queen on the inside of them. You know, they can wear their crown. They can walk in their authority. They can find out their authentic gift and really bloom as their gift makes room for them.
There you go.
Yeah.
Told y'all he was a preacher. Speaker, author, educator, Dr. Eddie Connor Jr. I'm just so impressed with you, man, and so proud of you, watching you do your thing. Of all the books you've written, does one stand out as kind of a favorite or something you're really extremely proud of more than those? They're all your babies, I know that.
Yeah, right.
Does one stand out for you?
Ooh, boy. I have to say, because Dear Queen is kind of like my thriller, you know what I'm saying? And it, but there's a book I wrote, probably the biggest book, the longest book I've ever written was My Brother's Keeper, a book to men, really about developing their identity and dealing with racism and much of the negativity with that is going to be more of a follow-up for my next book, is going to be dealing with masculinity.
Okay.
And really seeing how that's under attack in America. You know, we call it toxic masculinity.
Okay, there you go.
You know what I mean? I don't even like that term.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't either.
It's already a detriment just because you're born male and you got masculine traits. It's a negative.
Exactly. Is there an attack on black male masculinity at this point? You hear that a lot. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I definitely do. I definitely believe there is an attack on that. You know, when you can think about even in the 60s, the highest rate of marriages was in the black community was during the 60s, but taking the man out of the home, you know, and then and really seeing the assault. You know, we're lifting our sisters. Yes, it's so high to where we're saying, listen, our sisters can be both men and women. And a lot of times we have put them in that specific role due to a lack of leadership within our own lives. I think one thing as a man, you got to have leadership, you got to have vision. You know, you got to really be able to touch and tap into your vulnerability as well.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of times we act as if we're Superman, but we're really Clark Kent. You know, we act as if we're T'Challa and we're Black Panther, but we're really T'Challa. You know, we're not really the Hulk. We're really David Banner. You know what I'm saying? So
break it down, man.
Between the caricature, there is our character that's got to be, you know, really honed and developed.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You have quite a message, and that's something that when I think about the women now, when we see so many black women really in leadership roles, judges, lawyers, politicians, you know, in the political arena. Are we getting sidestepped? We're proud of our sisters and we love them and we lift them up and I love seeing all those sisters on TV doing their thing. But are we getting left behind? And if so, whose fault is that?
You know, I think we are getting left behind. When you think about, you know, even in the school system, you know, our sisters out-graduate our brothers. You know, the America is an incarceration nation. They don't mind our sisters, you know, getting a college degree, but they want to lock up our brothers. Yeah. You know, a lot of times. And even with that, you know, there's a lot of things that are not necessarily given to us specifically about what are the rudiments of moving from boyhood to manhood. You know, I do mentoring. And I'm always helping our young brothers, but I see now I'm doing a lot of mentoring to older brothers. Men need mentors. You can't even spell the word mentor without men. And we think it's from the top down. It's really from across. You know, there are some things that we're going to go through in our lives that we need other brothers who have been there to tell us how to go along the ropes.
How to navigate it.
Right. But, you know, as men, a lot of times we say, nah, we don't really need any help. You know, showing any form of help or asking for help is seemingly a sign of weakness. And it's really not that at all.
Trying to be Superman when we really Clark Kent.
Yes, sir.
Eddie, Dr. Eddie Connor, Dr. Eddie as they call you. People want to get a hold of this book. How can they do it? I know you have a website.
Yeah,
Tell us.
absolutely. You know, the book went #1 on Amazon, and it's a great read. One of the best books that you're going to read in 2022, without a doubt. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Audible. It's an ebook. It's an audio book. It's a hard copy. And
Did you read it? Did you do the audio?
I did the audio.
Oh, my
I did
man.
the audio. Yes,
Oh,
sir. Yes, sir.
definitely.
About
All
6 hours.
Oh, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of hours. Yeah, it's a lot of hours. It definitely. It's the songs that hours and hours. But they can also get a signed copy from me, DrEddieAcademy.com/Dear Queen.
There you go.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Eddie Connor Jr. It's been a pleasure talking to you, brother. Thank you for hanging out.
Oh, appreciate
Around
you,
the
bro.
D
Appreciate
with
it.
Billy T.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Y'all keep